Hey everybody, I'm Ethan James with thehonestcarpenter.com. In this video, I'm going to show you 9 common brad nail mistakes that you should try to avoid. If you're unfamiliar with brad nails, this is what they look like. They're one of the skinniest nails that you'll find. So skinny, in fact, that they're often just called wire nails. Individually, they're thin enough to bend with your fingers, and they come in lengths ranging from a ½ inch to 2 inches. For their size, though, brads have quite decent holding power. They're not made for heavy fastening, mind you, or anything structural. But for many trim applications, 18 gauge brad nails are perfect. And because the head is so tiny, it leaves an extremely small hole that is easily covered with caulk or wood filler. I use a brad nailer on almost every project. They're just so universal. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 9 most common brad nailer mistakes that I've made in the past. I'll also note that brad nail guns used to all be pneumatic, like my reliable old Rigid here. But recently, companies have engineered battery-powered brad nailers, like this new Porter cable. This has been a game changer on my job sites. I'm going to link several products below, but this Porter cable is by far my favorite, and it has the best Amazon rating for its class. So if you're in the market for a brad nailer, think about following my affiliate link below for this model. Alright, on to the tutorial. Mistake number 1 is overdriving. Often the stock we're using brad nails on tends to be very thin, like ply panels or skinny trim. If you have your pressure up too high, a brad nail can shoot straight through these things and thereby lose all of its fastening power. So dial down your drive depth. I do it this way on the Porter cable. Or if your gun is pneumatic, take some pressure off of your outflow. Just 70 to 90 psi is all it takes to drive brads. And consider doing a depth test on scrap stock before starting your project. You really want the head of the brad to be just below the surface, but not much deeper. Mistake number 2, bruising wood. This can be another pressure problem, but the action of brad nailers can bruise wood if you're not careful. Don't jam the gun down hard, and don't try to bang nail while holding the trigger down. Press the gun down gently, pull the trigger, and let the driver do the work. Also make sure you have one of these soft tips in place when nailing. They come with the guns generally, but you can buy replacements too. And you can even add a few layers of painter's tape to the end to reduce scarring. Mistake number 3, too much nail. This isn't an exact science, but generally you only want your brad nail to be twice as long as your stock is thick. So a 2-inch brad nail is too long for ½ inch stock. The one exception here is if you're pinning trim to a wall. Here the extra depth will get hidden, and it'll even help your fastening power. But for anything exposed, like a corner, the extra depth can cause problems. So to be safe, check your nail length by eye like this, and go for a length about double the thickness of your stock. Mistake number 4 is spring out. One of the reasons the fastener length is so important is spring out. It's the tendency of brads to punch out the side of a piece, like this. See, brads are really flexible. If you're using too much nail, it has more chance of turning slightly in the stock and punching out through the sidewall. This is because deviations in the wood grain can push the brad around inside the piece, causing it to bend and basically change direction. So, in sensitive areas like this, don't use too much nail as mentioned, and try to drive as close to vertical as possible, or even aim the gun slightly towards the side that doesn't matter. That way if it punches through, it'll get hidden. This brings us to mistake number 5. Don't put your fingers in the drive path. Knowing the tendency of brads to change direction, keep your fingers out of any area where one could punch through. Don't put your free hand too close to the gun at all. Instead, grip somewhere several inches away for support. Use a clamp if you have to, but fight the tendency to work faster by just grabbing the stock near the gun and shooting. The last thing you need in a workday is to have to treat a puncture wound. Which also has a lot to do with mistake number 6, failure to check the magazine. As you move through a project, you'll change nail lengths often based on the shooting situation. Changing brad nails is easy. Just hit the magazine release, slide the brads out and put a new belt in. Then you drive the magazine shut and it's loaded. But be sure to do one thing in the process. Check the top of the magazine. See, brads can easily be separated by the action of the driving pin. And sometimes a single nail from the old belt can remain in the gun. So if you replace 2-inch nails with 1-inch nails, there's a chance that the next nail in the chamber is actually still a 2-inch nail. And if you're shooting down through 2 thin pieces, and your hand or something else is underneath, you're going to pin that thing as well. So once again, keep your hands out of the drive path, and be sure to check the magazine to make sure you're not leaving any old brads in the chamber. Do this every time. Mistake number 7, steep toenailing. Because brads are so flexible, they're really not suited to angled shooting, or toenailing. Don't get me wrong, you can angle them slightly, maybe up to 20 degrees, but any more than that and you risk disaster. At steep angles, as the brad exits the gun, it will skim off the work surface of your stock and go bouncing around the room. So don't toenail too hard. And obviously, you should always be wearing eye protection whenever shooting brads. And mistake number 8, don't shoot metal. Brads may be able to punch through the thinnest gauge aluminum, but nearly any other metal surface will turn them into a squiggly wreck. These surfaces can also send them flying, so if you think metal may be embedded behind something you're shooting, proceed with caution. Try to avoid shooting metal altogether. And finally, mistake number 9, failure to use adhesive. For nearly any freestanding project, you want to use a combination of brads plus adhesive. Brads themselves just don't have the fastening power needed to join things together permanently. They're really sort of temporary nails that hold things in place while glue dries up, like these galvanized brads that I used to make a trash can hider in my lattice screen video. The exception to this, again, is interior trim. You generally don't shoot trim to walls with adhesive, but in those cases, you should always be trying to drive directly into studs or deadwood that will grip the brad securely. So that's it. 9 common brad nail mistakes to avoid. I hope they were helpful. If you think of anything I didn't mention, please put it in the comments. And if you're interested in any products you saw in the video, be sure to check the description for links. As always, thanks for watching. Visit us at thehonestcarpenter.com if you want to know more about our operation. And be sure to check back in for more videos soon. Thanks, everybody.